If you can't fall asleep at night, the problem isn't actually happening at bedtime. It is happening long before you ever get into bed. And that's exactly why all the usual sleep advice hasn't worked. The sleep hygiene rules, the supplements, the strict bedtime routines, none of it touches what's actually driving this. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 shifts that will actually retrain your brain to fall asleep naturally. These are things that I couldn't find anywhere, not from doctors, not from sleep specialists, not from any conventional advice in a Google search, and they're the exact reasons the usual advice hasn't worked for you. The first 5 shifts will stop the pattern that's been keeping you awake at night, but shift number 6 is what will dramatically speed up your results, and it's the one that most people never even think about. So make sure you stay with me all the way through. And before we dive in, here is why I know this works. I know this because difficulty falling asleep was my specific struggle for 16 years. It started when I was around 11 years old. I grew up in a really stressful household, and nighttime was never peaceful. And so, while my conscious mind just wanted to sleep, my brain learned something else entirely. It was learning that nighttime was unpredictable, that staying alert was safer than sleeping. And years later, when I was living on my own and my life was completely different, my brain was still running that same program. It was still treating nighttime as something to be on guard for, still keeping me awake. And once I finally understood that and I started working with my brain in a way that it actually understands, everything changed. It's now been 8 years since insomnia has had any control over my sleep or my life. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do too. So let's get into it. Shift number 1 is to stop trying to fall asleep. I know that sounds completely counterintuitive, but the more pressure you put on yourself to fall asleep, the more impossible it becomes. Because the moment sleep becomes something that you're trying to achieve, your brain goes into performance mode. And performance mode and sleep mode can't coexist. Sleep isn't something that you do. It's something that just happens automatically when your brain feels safe enough to let go. Just like your heartbeat, just like your digestion. You don't try to digest your food, it just happens. And sleep is the same way. So the shift is this. When you get into bed, your only job is to rest. Not to fall asleep, not to try to hit a certain number of hours, not to make sure you feel okay tomorrow. Just to rest. This one shift changed everything for me. I started looking at bedtime as my break. Even if I didn't fall asleep, I would tell myself, hey, at least I get to do nothing for a while. At least I get to just lie here and exist without having to be anywhere or do anything. And that reframe took so much pressure off myself. I stopped fearing going to bed. I stopped treating being awake at night as a bad thing because sleep doesn't like to be chased. The harder you pursue it, the faster it runs away. But when you genuinely stop caring whether it comes or not, or you at least take your focus off and make rest be your only goal, your nervous system finally gets the signal that there's nothing to solve. And that is when sleep just shows up. And before we keep going, here are some members of my Sleep Success online program who applied the shifts we're covering in this video and completely transformed their sleep. So you can pause the video if you'd like to read through these. Now, shift 2 is to wind down your evening intentionally. Your mind and body cannot go from 100 miles an hour to 0. It needs a transition. There needs to be a bridge between being on all day and being able to rest and relax at night. And most people just try to skip the bridge entirely and jump across the river, but the river's too far away, right? You need something to connect the two. So think about it like this. If you spend your whole day rushing, problem solving, responding to everybody else, producing things, and then if you get into bed and you just expect your brain to switch off on demand, that's just not how your nervous system works. So the shift here is to start creating that off ramp in the evening. And this isn't about following a perfect, rigid routine. It's simply about being intentional with how you spend the last couple of hours before bed. So the first thing is to be intentional about what you're consuming. What is your mind consuming in the evening? Because your brain doesn't just need less stimulation, It needs the right kind of stimulation. So if you're watching an intense crime thriller or doom scrolling through the news right before bed, your brain is just going to stay in fight or flight mode and it's going to take longer to slow down. But if you're watching something more lighthearted, more enjoyable, like a comedy, a feel good show, something inspiring, your brain receives the message that the world is safe and that everything is okay. So instead of banning yourself from screens entirely, just ask yourself, is what I'm consuming right now making me feel good, calm, and safe? Or is it making me stressed and on edge? So if it's stressful, switch it. If it's relaxing, enjoy it guilt free. The second thing is to also slow down your physical movements in the evening. So the pace at which you move through your home actually signals to your nervous system whether it's time to wind down or stay alert. So just move slower. Be more deliberate. Dim the lights, light a candle, put on some gentle background music. You don't need to do all of the things. Even just one of these things creates a shift in the energy, and it tells your brain that a transition is happening, that the day is over and nothing is required of you anymore. On top of that, it's really helpful to start detaching from the external world. The external world is everything that isn't you reconnecting with yourself, like notifications, emails, social media, dating apps, people who might throw off your mood. You spent all day focused on everything else and everyone else, and your evening is now your time to go inward, to declare that nothing else needs my attention right now. I'm off duty. And that intentional withdrawal from the external world and refocusing inward is one of the most powerful ways you can prepare your brain to sleep easily. Shift 3 is to get everything out of your head before bed. Here is something most people never realize about why they can't fall asleep. Your brain can be keeping you awake because it doesn't think you're ready to sleep yet. It thinks you still need to prepare. So it runs through tomorrow's schedule. It starts rehearsing what's coming up in your life. It's trying to make sure that nothing important gets forgotten. It's not to torture you, but it's because it genuinely believes that staying alert right now is to continue preparing you for what's going to keep you safe tomorrow. So what you can start doing is to show your brain that all that preparation is already done, that tomorrow is already taken care of, that it's safe to let go of it for now. It can be as simple as journaling and doing a brain dump either at the very end of your workday or right before bed. Just 5 to 10 minutes of writing down everything that's on your mind, like every pending task, every worry, everything that you don't want to forget. Just getting it out of your head and onto paper tells your survival brain it's recorded, it's handled. You don't need to stay alert to remember it. Another thing that I find really helpful is you can write down your order of operations for tomorrow. So, what are you going to do first thing in the morning? What are the most important things to get done first? That kind of proactive planning is very reassuring to your brain because it shows your survival brain that tomorrow is already taken care of. There's nothing left to prepare for tonight, so it is safe to rest. Quick side note, if you've been struggling with your sleep for months or years, you're definitely going to want to watch my free masterclass as well. This is where I go deep into the exact strategy I teach my clients to end chronic insomnia for good, including the subconscious ways you've accidentally been sabotaging your sleep without realizing it. The link is in the description. Shift 4 is to detach from the time on the clock, meaning anything. This is one of the sneakiest ways that people accidentally make falling asleep harder. You go to bed, you check the time, and immediately your brain starts assigning a meaning to what time it sees. It's already midnight, so I'm only going to get 6 hours of sleep, and it spirals from there. And the moment that you attach meaning, your nervous system activates. Your brain goes into problem-solving mode. And now you're not just dealing with not being able to sleep, you're dealing with a full stress response on top of it. Here's the truth. The time itself is completely neutral. Whatever time it is, whether it's 10 p.m. or 2 a.m., your only job is exactly the same: to rest. The time doesn't change that. The time doesn't mean anything about your sleep, your next day tomorrow, your ability to function, or your worth. It is just a number. So the shift is to stop letting the time on the clock mean anything. Cover up your clock, put your phone face down, put a post-it note over the time if you have to so you don't see it on your phone. And if the mental calculations start, just catch yourself and redirect. Redirect to my only job right now is to rest. That's it. That is all. The time is irrelevant. Because without the stress response, falling asleep becomes so much faster, easier, and natural. And you'll end up waking up feeling totally fine in the morning, even if you got less hours than you originally had your mind set on. Now, shift 5 is to change your reaction when you can't fall asleep. All right, so let's say that you've been intentional about your evening wind down. You've got everything out of your head. You did your brain dump. You've let go of the time. You're not paying attention to what time it is, and you're still laying in bed awake. This is where your reaction becomes everything. Because the moment you start feeling frustrated, the moment you start thinking, why can't I fall asleep? What's wrong with me? Your survival brain hears that and goes, threat detected. So more cortisol floods your system. Your brain waves spike from relaxed into wide awake and alert. And now falling asleep will take longer, even though you're exhausted. So instead of reacting with frustration, just remind yourself, my only job is to rest. And even lying here awake, I am resting. Resting is completely in your control. You can say, my body is still restoring. My nervous system is still benefiting from this stillness. This is not wasted time. If your mind is too activated to just, lie there and rest quietly, just put something gentle on in the background, a sleep meditation, an audiobook, something calm to listen to with your eyes closed. This keeps your brainwaves in the relaxed alpha brainwave state where sleep happens totally naturally without you having to force it. Shift number 6 is to choose empowering morning thoughts. This is one of the most overlooked pieces that people miss when trying to improve their sleep. So the cycle often does not start at bedtime, but it starts the morning before with the first thought you have when your alarm goes off. If that first thought is, I'm exhausted, I didn't sleep enough, today is going to be awful, your brain just goes, got it. And it carries that energy through the entire day. Everything feels harder, anxiety builds up. And by the time bedtime rolls around, your brain is already dreading it. It's already bracing for another bad night. But here's what is so powerful. You can interrupt that cycle from the morning end. So when you wake up, even after a rough night, catch that first thought and choose a different one intentionally. Something like, I've gotten through days like this before and I've been fine. I'm going to make the most of today. Or my body is resilient. I can do hard things. Or simply, today is going to be okay. Your brain responds to what you tell it. And when you start your day with an empowering thought, your day genuinely goes better. And when your days go better, the anxiety around sleep also starts to reduce and falling asleep becomes easier. The whole cycle starts to shift in the right direction. Be your own biggest cheerleader in the morning. Hype yourself up, especially on the hard days, because how you talk to yourself when you wake up is quietly shaping how you'll feel when you go to sleep that night. And if you've been dealing with sleep problems for a while and you want to fix this as quickly as possible, this is the video you need to watch next. I actually walk you through the 10 things that got rid of my insomnia for good. And the sooner you know these, the sooner you'll be sleeping. You can watch it right here.